This is Mercy Pilkington with Good eReader at Digital Book World, talking right now to Mark Gross, CEO of Data Conversion Laboratory, someone we've spoken with in the past with some important information on the numbers behind digital publishing. And today I want to ask you, Mr. Gross, about basically where digital textbooks are going. That's something that has made a lot of news in the last week or so. So first of all, what do you think publishers are going to need to do in order to incorporate the textbooks on a broad scale?
Well, I think there's going to need to be a process in which they take textbooks over, because moving textbooks over to electronic media is a little harder than taking novels and other very simple books. Textbooks are very complex, lots of pictures, lots of graphics, lots of tables and all kinds of things like that, and they're also very visual. All those things are difficult to move from one to the other, but clearly I think every publisher out there now is realizing that maybe not in the next 6 months or the next year, but over the next 3, 4, 5 years, they will have to move in that direction. And just like other technology we've seen that have just sprung on us very quickly, I think this is another one. I mean, I remember dating myself when I first got a fax machine. Nobody had one. It seems like 2 weeks later, everybody had to have one. And just like internet technology has moved very quickly, this will also. So I think the publishers are, where from 2, 3 years ago, nobody was really doing very much with it. Now there's several handfuls of publishers that actually have things out, but not very much. I think in the next year or two, we'll see at least some additions from every publisher out there. I think the Apple announcement last week just sort of highlights it. Not that it's just that here's a tool oriented towards it. It's not the only tool. It's not the only way to go, and certainly there are a lot of restrictions, a lot of controversy on that whole area. But it just shows where things are going, and the excitement around it shows that that's where people are going to have to go.
And what do you see about basically the digital textbook movement reaching out into the public sector, the public education departments, and basically the big question being, where are the devices going to come from that the students are actually going to use? In college, of course, you can require it, but what about in our public education? So what are some of the things that the publishers and the education industry are going to have to think about?
Right. And I think that's really, devices change in price over time very quickly. So to look at a device now and say it's a $500 device, and how is that going to happen, and where budget going to come from over the next 2, 3 years, I'm not sure is the right place to be, because there's no reason why. I mean, we see the Apple devices are in that $500 area. Certainly the Kindles are much, much lower. They don't do everything, but they do a lot of things. And there's no reason to think that devices in general won't go into that $100 or even sub-$100 area. So I'm not, looking at it today and trying to project is probably not the right way to project. And certainly with mass adoption, prices will go down. So I think if you think along those lines, a device is probably about the same cost as a single textbook. So I think the budgets can probably come out to support those. And while we talk about the cost of creating textbooks is not just in printing them, it's in developing content and the authors and all those other pieces. There still is a substantial amount that's in that print, and by eliminating that print, some of that money can go into supporting the device that need to be there. I think if you look at it in a 3, 4, 5-year spectrum, that part will probably be a trade-off. And as soon as publishers get used to producing content and students get used to reading it that way, and I think many already are, I think it'll be an obvious place to go. I think 5 years from now, we'll be looking at it and saying, remember what printed textbooks look like.
I agree. Thank you so much for your time. And again, this is Mercy Pilkington for Good eReader at Digital Book World.